Well, I'm sure most of you have been expecting this to happen sooner or later. Hello everyone, my name is Xerix, and welcome to yet another Creepypasta video. This time, we are going to be looking at 10 stories. Not the usual, 2 stories or maybe 4. 10. My first ever top 10 Creepypastas list. Of course, we gotta do it on my favorite cartoon in the whole wide world. A cartoon that I love so much. A cartoon that I've established loving many times. The Loud House. Let's face it, this was gonna happen eventually. Now, before we dive into the stories, I just want to bring up something. This will be split up into 3 separate videos. In the first video, which is also this video, I will be looking at number 10 and number 9. In the second video, I will be looking at number 8 to number 5. And in the third video, I will be looking at number 4 to number 1. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because stories number 10 and 9 are noticeably much longer than the other 8 stories. And I don't really want people to sit through, these 2 long stories and then have some much shorter stories at the end. So, yeah. Also, please, for the love of God, do not bully or harass the authors of these stories. Links to these stories will be in the description below, like always, but please don't bully or harass the authors of these stories. Alright, the stories aren't good, but that doesn't give you an excuse. That's not an excuse for you to insult the authors and say that it's trash. I mean, some of these aren't pretty bad, but I don't want to, I don't condone bullying. Alright, just don't. So, with that said, let's jump right in. These are the top 10 worst Loud House creepypastas. Let us begin. Number 10. The Loud House Lost DVD. I have always been a Nickelodeon fan. In 2016, they made a new show called The Loud House, which was created by a sexual harasser that the cartoon community ignored. The Loud House involves a show about an 11-year-old boy named Lincoln Loud trying to survive in a house with his 10 sisters. I'm not reading the names of the 10 sisters. You should already know them. If not, then, well, why the fuck are you watching this video? I can recall that one day when I found a lost DVD of The Loud House. It was a very horrifying experience. So here's the story. I always watched The Loud House on Nickelodeon. This became one of my favorite shows, and I made a schedule to record every episode. So I thought to myself, could there be any Loud House DVDs? This made me drive to the movie store. Well, what the fuck? When was this story made? Movie store? Wow. When was this story made? Because I'm pretty sure movie stores were long dead when The Loud House came out in 2016. Because, streaming services are what's big now, even though streaming services fucking suck compared to DVDs and Blu-rays and VHSs. But that's a topic for another day. When I arrived, I went to the aisle with Nickelodeon DVDs. There were numerous DVDs and VHS tapes. I bought 2 SpongeBob VHS tapes that had every episode from seasons 1 and 2, since I also like SpongeBob. Then I found 10 DVDs of The Loud House with titles such as Volume 1 or Volume 2. So, you found 10 DVDs. Did you buy all of them? You found 10 DVDs, and then you found 2 SpongeBob VHSs. That's 12 fucking things. Jesus, man. How much money do you have? Holy shit. But I found this DVD of The Loud House with a disc written with a sharper. A sharper. Not a Sharpie. A sharper. And it said, The Loud House. And that's it, apparently. There were no pictures on the cover. It has a note which read, "This episode was made by an unknown person in Syria. It was found in a pile of debris after an earthquake in a pile of rubble, and there was a jar with a DVD, a picture of Lincoln and a bag of intestines, and a picture of a disfigured person resembling a sexual harasser that the cartoon community ignored. I later inserted the disc into my old DVD player." What do you never specified that you bought it. Did you buy the DVD? You never said that you bought it, so I'm just going to assume that you're watching it in the movie store. The main menu was just a white background. It had a selection of 8 episodes. Number 1, Left in the Dark. Number 2, Baby Steps. Number 3, Pulp Friction. Number 4, 11 Louds Aleppin. That's good. If you could see on the image, it's even misspelled on the image, so nice going. Number 5, Fantastic Voyage. Number 6, Kick the Bucket List. Number 7, Cover Girls. Number 8, Unknown. I watched all of the episodes and they were normal. Well, all of them except for Unknown. The screen showed Lincoln with blood on one side. I drew a recreation of it as you could see in the right. Alright, and you could see this masterpiece. I mean, to be fair, at least the author admits that it is poorly drawn, so I'll give the author that. At least the author is self-aware that it looks like shit. I'll give them points for that. You know, I gotta love honesty. The title card was a white background with Lincoln's head. Then all of a sudden he became jet black with a scorching fire in his eyes. Then it showed Lincoln going into his room, flopping onto his bed, and saying, "Well, today's the first day of summer. Might as well read my comics in my underwear." After that, a time card was shown saying 10 minutes later. Lincoln's parents, Rita and Lynn Sr., went out to their ballroom, dancing, and reminded the kids to lock the door. Lenny obeyed her parents. The next scene was Lily, Lisa, Lola, Lana, Lucy, Lynn, Luna, Luanne, Lori, and Lincoln on the couch with Lenny standing in front of them. You know what? You could have just made that a lot easier by saying the next scene was all of the loud kids on the couch with Lenny standing in front of them. That would make that way easier. Why do you have to say the names of all of them? There's no reason for that. She announced, "I'm stupid, and now I realize that I am a loser." Then, out of nowhere, she grabbed a bottle of cyanide pills. Everybody yelled, "Don't do it, Lenny!" Lenny teared up. Suddenly a deep voice growled, "Do it! Do it, you pathetic excuse for a loud sister! Do it!" She dipped her head back and swallowed all of the cyanide pills. Her eyes were blank. She started to vomit blood. A few seconds later, she fell on the floor, dead. The screen cut to a screenshot of Lenny with blood coming out of her mouth and nose. The back of her head was soaked with blood. Lincoln and his sisters screamed for their life. They all ran around screaming. Bobby walked in and slipped on a pool of blood. His head cracked. Lori ran to Bobby and cried. A few days later, Lisa was making an experimental bomb using Bobby and Lenny's blood. When she combined every liquid she had in her small test tubes, she called everyone to see the explosion. The bomb exploded, sending her flying. She then hit the window, shattering it. When she hit the pavement, a truck ran over Lisa's back, causing her to break her spine as a brutal cracking noise was heard. She tried to call for Lincoln, but before she could speak, she died. Lincoln and his sisters came to see what happened, and all of them looked very upset. Lori called the police and the ambulance. They came and pronounced her dead at the scene. The next day, Lucy tried to commit suicide by stabbing herself with a pair of scissors. She cried, "I want to die because I want a short life." Luna and Lynn walked in on Lucy. "Are you trying to stab yourself?" Luna gasped. "I'm telling Mom," Lynn yelled. It was nighttime and Luna and Lynn were trying to talk to Rita. All of a sudden, Luanne came bursting through the door with a knife. She proceeded to stab Lucy and make a hole in the wall. Is she a Kyle? "Goodbye, world," Lucy weakly whispered. Then Lucy was dead. When Luna and Lynn came in with their mom, they noticed that Lucy was gone, but all that was left were some candles, some of which were lighted. They also noticed knife marks and blood. The next day, Lincoln was taking out the trash when he saw his best friend Clyde hanging by a rope. Okay, let's just fucking... What the fuck is going on in this story? Everything that's happening is just for no reason. This is just things happening with no rhyme or reason. No build up to anything. Just things happening for no reason. His skin was decomposing, blood was coming out of his body, and some of his ribs were showing. One of his eyes was hanging from its socket. It fell out, and Lincoln ran into the bathroom and started puking. He went to his room, where his sisters were there, wanting to cheer him up. They told him that they saw Lola out the window dead. Oh, fucking okay then. Again, for no reason. After this, his sisters decided to sleep with him. It cut to a flashback when their dad had a... Oh my god, are you fucking serious? It cut to a flashback when their dad had a celebration of killing the Jews because he was an a-hole when he was drunk. Then he went to some bar. Sure, okay, just casual anti-Semitism, just thrown in for no reason. You know what I don't understand? Is it anti or is it anti? I don't know, maybe it's a tomato thing. Some people say anti, some people say anti. What, just nice casual anti-Semitism for no fucking reason. So, fucking no fucking reason at all. Good. After a few beers, Lincoln's dad was so drunk at this point, he actually had threw Lola into a tiger gate. What fucking bar has a tiger gate? Lincoln wondered what the noise that he heard was, and he saw the horror. Lincoln screamed in terror and called the police. The cops arrested Lincoln's dad, and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. After the family left, Luna brought his cowbell and destroyed it. You could have worded that a little better, because the way it's worded, Luna brought his cowbell and destroyed it, it makes you think that Luna is a boy and not a girl. I think you could have worded that a little better. I know what they're talking about, because the dad had a fucking cowbell. I know what they're talking about. Luna was sent an invitation to a mixed swagger concert. The invitation said, to Luna, plus one other. And that's it? Nothing else? Okay. She was so excited, and she asked Lori if she would come with her. She said yes, and they both went to the concert. During the event, Luna was half drunk, and a strange black-hooded figure gave them a box of beer and even a pack of cigarettes. After the concert, they were driving back home late at night in the woods. They were both drunk and drugged. Suddenly, without warning, they drove off the road and fell in a ditch next to a river and flew out the van. The screen was blurry at this moment. The next day, Lincoln saw the news that Luna and Lori Loud died in a car crash. He became sad upon hearing this. The next scene was the pets on a stack stabbing Lola's twin sister, Lana, with a kitchen knife. After Lana died, the pets knew that what they had done was bad. They all... What the fuck is going on for real? What is going on? They all went to the basement and hung themselves. 30 seconds later, they was dead. Lincoln went to the basement to work on a project and saw Gio with his entrails hanging. Cliff had his legs amputated. Charles was decapitated, and Walt had his wings, eyes, and beak missing. I thought they just simply hung themselves. I didn't know there was... Okay. He screamed and ran up the stairs. One day later, Lincoln and his sisters were in the yard playing until a stray Doberman grabbed Lily and took off running. Lincoln and his sisters tried to run after them, but it was too late. The dog mauled and devoured Lily. After that, Luanne was making a video for her website. She grabbed a gun and a slingshot and joked, "What do you call a slingshot with a gun? A gunslinger." She laughed until she accidentally shot herself with both weapons. She collapsed onto the floor, dead. The animation began to deteriorate. Lincoln and Lynn stormed in and screamed. They saw the video and were horrified. Luanne was buried at the cemetery along with Lenny, Lisa, Luna, Lori, Lana, and Lola. Okay, so Lynn and Lincoln are the only ones that are still alive. I swear to God, if this becomes a fucking Lincoln fanfiction, this better not be, because, well, I mean, to be fair, that would be kind of a good thing, because then that would actually make the story scary if it became a fucking Lincoln fanfic. Lynn decided to sleep with Lincoln until she fell off the bed. She landed head first, snapping her neck, then she died. Everything is just happening for no reason. What the fuck? The next night, Rita told Lincoln to sleep with her. He then stabbed his mom. And why the fuck did he do that? For no reason. Like, literally, this one is just for no fucking reason. He then stabbed his mom and threw his and her stuff around. After that, he wrote a letter. It read, To anyone who finds this, I caused another chain reaction. No, you didn't. Lenny was the one that started it, not you. What the fuck are you talking about? Lenny was the one that started it. Only this time, it caused my sisters and my parents to die. So, I'm going to join them in heaven, or hell, I don't know. Goodbye, world. Then he grabbed a stool and a noose from Lucy's room, and he put the noose around his neck and then stepped on the stool. He then kicked the stool and hung himself. The episode ended. I got nightmares from seeing the death of the members of the Loud family. I stopped watching Nick and I threw away all my Nickelodeon items like my SpongeBob plush, my posters, and the other Nickelodeon DVDs I had. Wow, overdramatic one? Wow, overdramatic much? You just watched a weird episode of a crappy show. That doesn't mean you have to stop watching the whole network. There are other Nicktoons out there that are also leagues fucking better than Loud House. I lost my sanity. Someone found me and locked me in a mental ward. I know it sounds weird that I was locked up due to a kid's show, but it happened. Yeah, I'm sure it did. I later escaped and went back to my house. And that's the ending. That was a great story. What an amazing story that was. 10 out of 10. Great story. Everything that happened, I love the casual anti-Semitism, the fact that everything was happening for no fucking reason at all. Great story. Great story. Just great story. This is only number 10. God help me. Number 9. The Loud House. Luanne crosses the line. Note, this story is obviously fake. But this was fun. Well, thank you for stating that it's fake. I was hoping that it would be fake, because otherwise I would have nightmares. Thank God the nightmares will be prevented. Hold on. One of my favorite cartoons on Nickelodeon was called The Loud House. I'm pretty sure you are all familiar with this series. Nope, I've never heard of this show ever. I don't know anything about it. I've never made any videos about it. I have never heard of this show. It's about an 11-year-old kid named Lincoln Loud living in a family of 10 sisters, whose names were, once again, I'm not reading them. You should already know what the sisters' names are. If not, then why are you watching this video? They live in a town called Royal Woods, Michigan, but after this incident, I will never look at this show the same way ever again. The trouble all started when I came home from school one day. I flung my backpack somewhere around the living room, but I didn't care where it was, because all I could think of was the Loud House. I scurried up the stairs, hoping that a new Loud House episode had been aired. When I arrived at my room and checked my computer, there was a notification saying that there was indeed a new Loud House episode aired. I did a small victory dance, happy that my wish had came true. The notification had a link to the episode, so not wasting any more time, I quickly clicked on the link, and it immediately took me to the newly released episode. Yeah, this sounds legit. I totally trust this. It started out with the usual upbeat intro that I always hum to. When the intro was over, the title card showed Luanne laughing with a gravestone in the background with Lincoln's face on it, and the title of the episode was called Luanne Crosses the Line, in the usual font and some background music to accompany it. I found it strange, so I took a screenshot of it. This title card creeped me out, but I shrugged it off, thinking that it was a normal episode with a darker turn to it. Oh, how wrong I was. When the episode started, it showed an exterior view of the house as usual. Then it zoomed in on Luanne in the basement, pacing around with an angry expression. Okay, Luanne, you need to go farther than ever before, she said to herself. I was confused as to what was going on. Why was Luanne acting like this? After a few seconds of silence, Luanne then gets an idea. A really messed up idea. I know exactly what to do. Luanne sported a crooked smile and rubs her hands together in an evil way as evil music began to play as it zoomed in on Luanne's disturbing face. The next day, Luanne was putting a banana peel on the living room floor. She then hears a car being parked. She looked out the window. It revealed to be the rest of the family parking Vanzilla. I assumed that the rest of the family went out somewhere and Luanne wanted to stay behind so she could set all of this up. Luanne ran up to the attic where no pranks had been set up to hide. The rest of the family enters the house and almost immediately they had triggered a tripwire, which caused an axe to head towards them on a rope. Everyone gasps and ducks, except for Lenny. I couldn't bear to watch one of my favorite characters get brutally murdered, so I quickly turned around and covered my eyes. How come in both this story and the previous one, Lenny is the first one to die? Okay. What an interesting coincidence. All I heard was the axe swinging and Lenny's blood-curdling scream and then blood splattering. I didn't want to see the aftermath, but morbid curiosity got the better of me. I bravely turned around and opened my eyes to see a horrifying sight that made my heart drop to the bottom of my chest. Lenny was on the ground, decapitated. Blood oozed out of her exposing neck. The family let out an ear-piercing scream so loud that I had to turn down my volume because I thought my neighbors would hear it and call the police. As the family runs around the living room, Luna, Lana, Lola, and Lisa bumped into the couch, knocking it over, and the couch sprung them through the roof as their screams were heard and a loud splat from outside, which I could only assume that the worst had happened. The rest of the family ran up the stairs and found a note on Lana and Lola's bedroom door, which read, "Pull me." "Dibs not," Lynn screamed as she touched her nose. So did her family, but unfortunately for Lori, she was last. Okay, I don't know what the fuck is going on. "Ugh, literally?" she groaned. She headed slowly for the door and warily pulled it to reveal all of Lana's pets as they all attacked Lori in violent ways, like all the snakes wrapping around Lori's body, Lana's gators biting on her legs, and her pig charging at her multiple times. All me and the family could do was watch in horror as the firstborn sibling was getting mauled. Finally, the pets disperse and go back in their room. Lori was left there, unconscious, with bitten off legs and many bruises. I almost threw up at the sight. The remaining family members, which were Lynn Sr., Rita, Lynn, Lincoln, Lucy, and Lily, were running to the basement. Lucy was about to open the door, but Lincoln stopped her. "Don't pull that door. Remember what happened to Lori? I'll handle this." "What? But sweetie," Rita cried, trying to convince Lincoln. "It's better than watched another one of my siblings suffer," Lincoln declared as he charges towards the door while wailing out, "Charge!" He bursts the door open and falls down the basement stairs, but I was not expecting the end result. When Lincoln had reached the bottom, he got impaled by a bed of spikes, causing him to scream and then slowly go unconscious, much to the family's shock. "Lincoln," they all cried out as tears bursted down their cheeks. Lynn runs down the stairs as well, but accidentally slipped on a banana peel and ended up getting impaled like Lincoln. Lynn Sr., Rita, Lucy, and Lily were the only ones left. They all were in the crawl space. They all looked scared. "What has become of our family?" Lynn Sr. cried out. "What's going to happen to us?" Lucy asks worriedly. "I don't know, but we can't stay here," Rita announced. It cut to the four walking nervously back in the house. Lynn Sr. walks in the living room, failing to notice the peculiar placed banana peel that Luanne had placed earlier, but Rita does. "Honey, look out," she called out. It was too late. The father slipped on the banana peel and crashed into the fireplace and rubs his head and groans. He then sees raccoons coming out of the fireplace and walking up to Lynn Sr.'s face. "Ha ha, nice raccoons," he innocently said, but the raccoons ended up attacking the father, scratching him, biting him, and many more violent maneuvers. The raccoons go back in the fireplace and then it reveals Lynn Sr.'s body, all scratched up and bloody. "Honey!" Rita screamed, kneeling to his side. "No, I'm fine," he said as he coughed up blood. "Go on without me." The trio decided to hide in Lincoln's room, but when the entered, they triggered another tripwire, which sent a giant cinder block crushing them as blood slowly oozed out from under the block. Luanne came down the attic, laughing psychotically at her pranks. I was shaking uncontrollably now. Words couldn't even describe what I had just watched. Why would Luanne even do that? I asked myself. I was not expecting what had happened next. Luanne then stopped laughing and then turned towards me. "Why did I do this? Because my family deserved it," Luanne said to me. My eyes shrunk and my body continued to shake like in earthquake. You You can hear me? I nervously asked the jokester. Duh, what gave you that first clue, Sherlock? Luanne laughed once again. You know I can't have any witnesses. BRB, she said as she ran of somewhere off screen. I heard the sound of beakers moving around, and Luanne came back into frame with what seemed like a beaker filled with a blue substance. What is that? I asked, not really wanting to know. Oh, just a little experiment from Lisa. Just let me do my own thing. She then splashed the substance onto the screen and it burned a hole through my computer. Luanne pulled her hands out and her hands actually managed to come through the screen and grab me. I tried to run away by squirming out of her grip, but it was no use as she dragged me into the screen. When I started to regain consciousness, I saw two familiar feet in front of me. Luanne? I asked. Bingo! Luanne called out and picked me up and put me right side up, revealing to me that we were standing in the house hallway and Luanne was dressed in her clown costume. Boy, you must be a heavy sleeper, she laughed psychotically again. Someone help me! I screamed as I ran down the stairs. Oh, no you don't, Luanne called from behind me. I raced past Lenny's dead body and ran outside screaming. I looked back and Luanne wasn't very far behind. As I continued to run, my legs began to cramp up. Luanne was getting closer and closer. I braced for impact as Luanne attacked me violently. I finally managed to spree out of the fight cloud in an attempt to run away, but I felt something wrap around my legs. I looked down and saw Luanne holding onto my legs tightly. Get away from me, you maniac! I screamed. I tried to run, but Luanne tripped me and started dragging me back to the house, ready to do God knows what to me. When I started to regain consciousness again, I noticed that I was tied down to some table as Luanne came into my vision. What did I just say about witnesses? What were you thinking going out there? You could have ruined my plans, she sternly said. What plans? I asked worriedly. The plan to murder the witness. Her voice deepened when she said that last part and got closer to me with a chainsaw. As she started it up, I could only look on in horror, but right as Luanne could end my life, I heard something being cracked, followed by Luanne's blood-curdling scream as she crashes to the ground. I turned my head slightly to see a blurry red hat. Then I heard an eerily familiar voice. Lola, Lana, release him, said the voice. I then felt the shackles being unlocked as I could feel my limbs again. I lifted up my body to see Lana. Lola, I said in my mind. Are you okay, mister? Lana asked, but I answered by hugging both her and Lola. I got up and then saw half of the family beating up Luanne to a pulp, holy shit, and the other half checking on me. I'm okay, everyone, I said. Way better now that you're here. All of a sudden, I woke up in a hospital room. As it turns out, I was in a coma. It was all a dream. All of it. I told the doctor about Loud House and Lost Episode, Luanne, Lenny, whatever, but the doctor had no clue what I was talking about. I told him to turn on Nickelodeon, and he did. It was an episode of Jimmy Neutron that was playing. And that's when I realized it was all a dream. The Loud House never existed. It was all a dream. That's not how the story ends, unfortunately. It just ends with, I'm okay, everyone, I said. Way better now that you're here. But I did give it a more interesting and appropriate ending. So yeah, I don't know what to say about this one. I think this one kind of speaks for itself. So let's move on to the next story, shall we? Number 8. Loud House Lost DVD. I know what most of you are going to think. Didn't I just read that story? Didn't I just read this story? Well, let me explain. The story that I previously read was called The Loud House - Lost DVD. This one is just Loud House Lost DVD. Therefore, they are two completely different stories. Let us begin. Okay, seriously, stop editing my page or I will put the brand new spoiler thing on your page and it will be terrible. Um, what? The fuck? Did I miss something? What happened? Okay, I must have missed something. Hi, I'm Andriana. I am an 11-year-old who witnessed everything. The story. I was a huge fan of Nickelodeon. My favorites were SpongeBob and The Loud House. Well, that's not surprising, seeing how those are the only Nicktoons they air nowadays. I asked my parents if I could buy a Loud House DVD from eBay. They said yes, and my dad gave me his debit card. He didn't have a credit card. Thank you for that. That's totally essential information. We totally needed to know that he doesn't have a credit card, but a debit card. Thanks. That's great, useful information. I searched it up and saw a DVD called The Loud House Lost DVD. I was very excited, and it only cost 50 cents. I bought it and it came within 30 minutes. Okay, there's just too many fucking red flags here. I know you're meant to be an 11-year-old girl, but like, come on. They're not. 11-year-olds aren't that stupid. They should know that something's off. Exhibit A. It's called Lost DVD. Exhibit B, it only cost 50 cents. Exhibit C, it came 30 fucking minutes after you ordered it. There's too many red flags going off. Too many red flags. Wow. I mean, like, come on. If I was an 11-year-old and I saw this, I would be like, nope, I don't trust this. Fuck this. I would not trust this if I was an 11-year-old. I mean, to be fair, this would have to be in an alternate universe where I actually liked this fucking show, or, I was 11 when the show came out. Alright, let's keep reading. I ran to my room and put in the DVD. Oh God, I regret it very much. There was no title screen. It started with Lincoln in the living room and his 10 sisters annoying him. He suddenly yells, "Please excuse my language. I had enough of this shit." He then grabs a knife and stabs Lori, the eldest, in the heart. I wanted to run out of the room, but when I touched the doorknob, I heard him say, "Where do you think you're going, Adriana?" How did he know my name? "I want to get out of here," I cried. "You're not going anywhere," he told me. Then my back felt like it was stabbed. I felt the area of pain and pulled out a knife. Eek! I was stabbed. I turned back around and sat down in front of the TV. Lincoln had black eyes with blooded red pupils, and they were bleeding. He then stabbed Lenny, Luna, Luanne, and Lynn in the stomach, slit Lucy's throat, decapitated Lana, cut Lola's stomach open and pulled out her entrails, ew, threw Lily to the wall, which killed her instantly, and literally sliced Lisa in half. He looked at me and said in a soothing voice, "You're next. I will start with haunting your dreams." Okay, at least they use... I'll give the story this. At least they used the correct "you're" for the "you're next." At least they fucking used the correct "you're." Thank you. Thank you. Points. You get points for using the correct "you're." I will start with haunting your dreams. Then I will beat you up in your sleep, and it gets more serious until I get to the point where I murder you. I picked up the knife that my back was stabbed in and threw it at the TV screen. It bounced off. "Ha, you think you can stop this TV? It's not even over yet." I got up and tried to pick up the TV. It was too heavy. Then a face with empty eye sockets and blood popped up on the screen with an ear-piercing scream. Suddenly, then Lincoln was standing in a dark room. He said, "I hoped you liked this show." The TV then turned off by itself. The aftermath. I told my mother that Lincoln was after me. I was put in a mental hospital for a week. After that, I started having nightmares. A week later, I woke up with bruises on me. It got more serious every 3 weeks until now. I am hiding in my closet with a flashlight on. I hear the closet door open and, "He's gonna kill me, he's gonna kill me, he's gonna kill..." An 11-year-old named Adriana was said to have died in the stabbing of a boy named Lincoln Loud. Masterpiece. That was one of the best stories I've ever read. Just literature at its best. Fucking To Kill a Mockingbird, that shit's garbage compared to this. This is Masterpiece. Just masterpiece. Number 7. Lincoln's Morbid Thoughts. I had just come home from watching Sweeney Todd at the nearest high school and was pretty exhausted. Thank you, that's useful information. Thank you for telling us that you watched Sweeney Todd, not at your high school, but at the nearest high school. Thank you, that's totally going to be important for this story. I plopped down on the couch and checked my watch. 11:37 p.m. I yawned and decided to watch some TV before I slept. I turned on to On Demand and decided to watch that weird show my sister watched, The Loud House. I clicked on a random episode that had no title, but I was too tired to care. Plus, that was normal for some On Demand episodes. I sat through the commercials, and then the intro came on. The intro was always my favorite part of any episode I managed to catch a glimpse of. The thing was, at the end, a screen of red flashed for a quick second. I shook my head. Of course, it was probably my mind messing with me, as it was pretty late. I watched the beginning of the episode, starting with the Loud family annoying Lincoln, so I ran into his room and he slammed the door. He looked pretty angry, as would I if I was in his position. He calmed down and left his room. His family was gone, probably going on some trip without him. He sighed and walked into the kitchen, pulling out a knife. He turned to the screen. Sometimes I have really morbid thoughts about killing my family, he stated, stroking a knife with his finger. I nodded, understanding him, as I would also have thoughts like that. What the fuck, bro? Get help. That's not normal. Why? Bro, get fucking help. That's not a normal thing to have. Those aren't normal thoughts you should have. We gotta get this fucker a therapist ASAP. Holy shit. Even though it was pretty disturbing for that to be put in a kid's show. I went back to watching the episode. You never said you stopped watching it, where he stopped stroking the knife. He started talking again. I mean, really morbid. My mind would go into detail about how I would stab, he made a stabbing motion with the knife, gut, he made a scooping motion, and gouge out their eyes. He finished and put the knife back. It can get pretty weird, so I have to calm down after that, he said and sighed. By this point, I was a little creeped out, not by what he was saying, as those were usually my thoughts when I was angry. Again, get help, please. But the fact that this made it into an episode. I unpaused the episode. You never said you paused it ever. And continued watching. Nothing else really happened until the credits. You know, you shouldn't really say that, because then that's going to make your story look really rushed and lazy. If you just say nothing else really happened, that's just going to make it really fucking lazy. During the credits, this loud, high-pitched beeping sound emitted from somewhere. It was my alarm clock. I sat up and blinked. I realized that it was all just a dream. You motherfucker. You motherfucker. It was all just a dream, so you're really gonna use the dream ending. Wow. I groaned, then checked my watch and turned off the alarm, cursing myself for forgetting to turn it off. I got up and went to bed. When I woke up in the morning, the dream was still vividly in my head. I reminded myself never to watch anything murderous before sleeping, as those kind of dreams could appear often, and people would think I was going crazy. I never really told anyone about this dream, as it didn't really matter. But just a warning, if you watch anything about murder or gore before bed, you just might have a strange dream like I did. That was shit. That was shit. That was not fucking scary at all. There was no... The dream ending, really? That was not scary. That was just not scary. Wow. This is shit. This is not scary. This was not scary at all. Wow. Fucking waste of time, this one. Shit. Number 6. The Loud House X. The Loud House X what? What is the Loud House crossing over with? Nickelodeon. I have hated Nickelodeon for quite some time. I stumbled upon the Loud House and watched the show. I started to love the show, even though I don't like Nickelodeon. Okay, so you like the Loud House, but you hate Nickelodeon. Great, you know. Wow, it's almost like this story was made to piss me off. How thoughtful of you. The Loud siblings range from Lori, a narcissist, whom is always there for her younger siblings. That doesn't make her a narcissist then. If you... If you're gonna include the word narcissist, don't include it because big words, I'm smart. Learn what narcissist means, please. Shown in No Guts, No Glory, to Lincoln, the only boy and the middle child, lives in stress of his sisters, but in the end has love for them. The DVD arrives at the door. I was watching the local news for Augusta when I heard a knock on the door. Expecting a couple of things, I eagerly opened the door, only to find a tiny package with my name and address. I opened it only to find a DVD. I picked up the DVD, covered in dust, and it read, The Loud House X. X what? What is it crossing over with? The big X below the title was quite odd, and the handwriting was quite amateurish. I thought this was a prank, until I saw that the DVD was too well made on the inside from someone in my complex. I picked up the DVD and took it inside. I set the DVD on my table next to my sofa. The next day, my little brother was over, and he asked about the DVD. He asked, Jack, can we watch that DVD together? I love The Loud House. Please. I told him, sure, why not? What could go wrong? I mean, it's a kid's show, like the good old days. The horror begins. I turned on the TV and opened the DVD case. The disc read, Welcome to the Loud House, a set of 10 loud-tastic episodes. Those words made my brother smile. I put the disc in and I set it up, and a menu popped up. I clicked for episode selection, and an episode selection screen showed up. It had the following episodes: No Guts, No Glory, Butterfly Effect, 11 Louds A-Leapin', Room with a Feud, Tripped, Breaking Dad. That's not 10, that's 6 episodes. It just says a set of 10 loud-tastic episodes, and there's only 6 episodes. Wow, what a fucking ripoff. I want my money back. My brother and I started watching the episodes. Each one made him laugh, but for some reason I felt dreadful. Ignoring it, we went on and finished the first 6 episodes. We returned to the episode selection menu. Then it started the Highway of Horror. The 7th episode had no title. Okay, what about episodes 8, 9, and 10? Well, I mean, to be fair, why would you bring those up before episode 7? The episode began with the Loud House intro. Normal. However, the title card was different. That strange, peculiar title card read, Quite Gunny. There was a clown with a gun on the title card too. It had a poor quality cut to Mr. Loud chasing Lily while Mrs. Loud was parking Vanzilla. Mrs. Loud began to yell at Mr. Loud. Why are you doing this? She said in a very loud voice. Mr. Loud replied in anger. She ruined our lives, and not just her, them, pointing upstairs. Mr. Loud walked up to Mr. Grouse's front lawn. Mr. Loud, they have names, you know. Lynn Sr. and Rita, they have names. Damn. Mr. Loud got out and asked Mr. Grouse, do you want peace? You can get Lily and her siblings out of the picture. Mr. Grouse had a devil's smile and replied with demonic happiness, yes, I can't wait for it to be quiet again. Mr. Loud walked over and grabbed Lily. He then handed Lily to Mr. Grouse, and he began to walk with Mr. Grouse inside. The two sat Lily on the living room coffee table. Okay, I fucking do not like where this is going. They both slit her wrists. Mr. Grouse put a gun to Lily's head and pulled the trigger. Lily's head just exploded. Mr. Grouse then shot Mr. Loud. After Lily was killed, the episode became more horrific. Mrs. Loud went outside and used the rope swing to hang herself because of Lily's death. Lori told everyone of the 2 deaths. Isn't it 3? Because Lynn Sr. got shot, Rita hung herself, and Lily was killed. So it's 3. What the fuck do you mean 2 deaths? Lori went to where? Where did Lori go? Did she go to Burger King? Whatever. Where did she go? Lori went to the. It just ends there. What the fuck? Where the fuck did Lori go? Lana was a doctor and Lincoln was an online video star. Lynn had a heart attack after. What the fuck is going on? It's like, are we reading a different story now all of a sudden? Lynn had a heart attack after she used Pinefine, I don't fucking care if I mispronounced it, and died during a basketball game in Luanne's arms. Lola was crossing a crossroad and was hit by a truck, and that's it. Aftermath. I have never located nor identified whoever created this DVD. What the fuck? What the fuck happens with episodes 8, 9, and 10? You said, the DVD said there was 10 episodes. The first 6 episodes were normal. Episode 7 was not normal. What the fuck is episodes 8, 9, and 10? What about them? What the fuck? What about episodes 8, 9, and 10? Well, are they normal or are they not? Okay. Aftermath. I have never located nor identified whoever created this DVD, but I believe the person who made it is local. I have since given the tape to police. Okay, so now it's a fucking VHS tape. I thought it was a DVD. Alright, good. But there have been no additional clues. The tape had fingerprints, but no matches, ever. Testing on the case and DVD is a possibility. Okay, now it's a DVD again. So, okay, please make up your fucking mind. Is this a DVD or a VHS tape? Please make up your mind. But is not being disclosed if the PD will do it. My nephew still visits me. I thought he was your little brother. Now he's your nephew? Okay. Still visits me, but we watch our shows on actual TV, not DVDs. And then my fam died. The end. What is this satire? Is this satire? I actually have no clue. This feels like it's satire. The Loud House X. Oh my god, this is number 6. Okay. You can do it, Xerix. You're only halfway. Number 5. The Loud House Lost Episode. Deadly Sleep. Don't try to say anything. Okay, what the fuck is going on? That's not how you start the story. That's not how you start a story. Am I being interrogated or something? A lot, which is not one word, as I said before in another video, of you guys has heard of The Loud House. Those who didn't heard about the show, The Loud House is an American animated series made by Nickelodeon. It's about an 11-year-old boy named Lincoln Loud, yada yada yada, you get the gist of it. I'm not reading this shit again. But what most people doesn't know, however, there is a urban legend about The Loud House Lost episode. Okay, I'll tell you my story. On March 30th, 2019, I spotted a DVD. March 30th, 2019. That's really specific. There's no reason for you to bring up what day it was. There's no reason. That's really fucking specific. It was an The Loud House DVD. It was 3:30 p.m. already. Again, that's really specific. No reason for you to bring up what day/time it was that you found it. I picked it up and looked at it. The front cover says The Loud House, unaired episode. On the back cover, there was only one episode. It said deadly_sleep.mp4. Alright, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. I've said this before. I read a SpongeBob story that has something like this and I'm going to say it again. There's no reason to have .mp4 in your story if it's not on a computer. Alright, file extensions don't make it scary. Especially if it's in if it's not on a computer. Like if this was on a computer, then yeah, that would make sense. But it's not. It's on a fucking DVD. Alright? Don't add .mp4 or .avi or whatever if this isn't on a computer. Because then that just makes no fucking sense. I poped it into my own DVD player and started watching. Well, thank you for clarifying that you poped it into your own DVD player. I was scared that you would put it into someone else's DVD player. It went to the main menu with only the option Deadly Sleep.mp4 and a image of the Loud's house as the background on it. So I pushed play. It went to the intro, but all the rooms and sisters were red, gray, black, bright red, and dark gray. Then the episode began. The atmosphere felt ... surreal. Lincoln asked Luanne if she knows his birth story, and Luanne states that they were expecting another girl. When Lincoln questions why they think they would have had another girl, Luanne states that his room was already decorated like a girl's room and thought they had brought home the wrong baby. Lincoln realizes that just like a character on one of his DVDs, he might have been switched with another family's baby and proceed to do some research. After going through all of the Royal Woods birth records, Lincoln and Clyde proceed to investigate on different families to see which one has the characteristics of a Loud. I'm pretty sure this is already a normal episode. Nothing fucking scary is happening so far. Then Lola said, "Lincoln, wrong there, making lies to you." Later that night, Lincoln went to bed. He thought, "I'm Noi adopted, am I?" Lincoln goes to sleep. Then the voice said in a monster's tone, You are a no one, never." A gunshot is heard after the voice said that. Then a picture of Chris Savino showed up. He was smiling while his eyes were just black holes. Lincoln woke up with a shocked face, not even a scream, gasp, or whatever. Then, and 3 days later, time card appeared. Ronnie Ann was going to see Lincoln. Lenny told Ronnie, Lincoln hasn't come out of his room for 3 days. That was the first time I've heard Lenny say something serious. Then it went to the hospital. The doctor said Lincoln hasn't slept for 4 days. He was scared while he was sleeping. Lenny said, Why was you scared, Lincoln? Then the beeper went flat, and Lincoln's heart wasn't beeping anymore. The doctor said, I'm sorry, the Loud family, but Lincoln Loud is now dead. I was going to cry because Lincoln Loud was one of my favorite cartoon characters of all time. Then it cuts to Lincoln's sisters crying. They said, He's gone! Lola pulls out a gun. Where the fuck did she get one from? And said her final words. When you lose a brother or sister, it will make you cry. Lola shot herself at the heart. The episode ends with no credits. Just nothing but the Nickelodeon logo as it was wobbly. Until the screen went to black. I don't know Chris Savino made this atrocity. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this isn't the only atrocity Chris Savino has done. Chris Savino is the creator of The Loud House, the show I mentioned earlier. He's also a fucking terrible person. So, I thrown the DVD outside. At 6 p.m., I checked if The Loud House DVD was still outside. It wasn't. Never find any pirated DVDs. Let this be a warning to all of yourselves. I don't know what to say about this one. It's just one of those unmemorable stories where it's just, I don't know what to say about it. It just kind of speaks for itself. This is another one that just speaks for itself. We're almost done. Let's just get this over with. Number 4. The Loud House 888. My brother's birthday was coming by, and he was turning 10. He loved shows on Nickelodeon, like SpongeBob and The Loud House. Well, as I said before, that's pretty much all that Nickelodeon airs nowadays, so yeah. I feel bad for your brother. I wish he was born in the 90s or 2000s, when Nickelodeon had this thing called Variety. Damn, that sucks for him. I thought a Loud House DVD would be perfect, so I searched up one on eBay. While I was searching on eBay, I decided to check my mailbox. Surprisingly, there was a box beside my front door. Like a normal person, I decided to open it. It had scratches on it. It had a DVD named The Loud House 888. I thought what the 888 meant, but I couldn't think of it. Well, apparently 888 is like, it represents Jesus or something like that. It's basically the good version of 666, basically, from what I can gather. That's what it is. It's like the good version of 666. The words looked like it was drawn by a toddler, so I refused to open it up, but I did. I watched over the DVDs, and, okay, so it's more than one DVD, okay, and they had perfect quality and no flaws. So, there was episodes like Head Poet's Anxiety, and a episode that wasn't supposed to come out, but it's on Amazon. What? Fandom Pains, Leonard Takes All, and an unusual named episode called The Loud House 888. So I watched the 888 episode, and it started out like this. It started with the outside of the house, no intro or anything. So it started in Lincoln's room, and he says, I'm so tired of my sisters pestering me around and annoying me. I'm done. I need some way to end my life and get over this. A light bulb dropped on his head, and he said he had an idea, so we searched all around the house for a knife, but couldn't find one. Instead, he found a pistol. Okay, how the fuck was he unable to find a knife, but yet he was able to find a pistol? That makes sense. He didn't know how to use a pistol, so he went into his closet, closed the door, and shot himself 10 times. This was scary, so I threw up everywhere. Then, the sisters stood by a cremation saying, R.I.P. Linky. The episode ended with no credits, only noises of gunshots for 45 minutes. I got bored, so I fast forwarded, and the Nickelodeon logo came up, originally after The Loud House episode, so I didn't give this DVD to my brother. If you find this episode, I suggest you don't watch it. I threw up over this, and I don't want you to throw up too. Okay, well, that's fucking anticlimactic. What an anticlimactic story. Good. You really sat through 45 minutes, or, I'm sorry, minutes of gunshot sounds. Wow, fucking hell. Yeah, that was good. Number 3. The Loud House, Season 9, Episode 5. Hello, Justin. My name's not Justin. Is your name Justin? Who's Justin? And I wish Justin Bieber Hey was still relevant so I could make no, I don't want to do that. And I have a treat for you. Yes, all of you. First, I saw a Lost Future-like episode, Season 9, Episode 5. Of what TV show? You never stated. What show is it? I was on my TV watching Xfinity. A random pop-up came on the screen saying "New Loud House Special" in a loud, creepy voice. I was a big The Loud House fan at the time, so I pressed watch. Yeah, I trust it. You hear the fucking it's in a loud, creepy voice, but nope, I trust it. It immediately started with a very new intro. At the end, all the charters were on the couch, even some that weren't regularly there, like Clyde, the parents, and a character I didn't recognize. As the episode starts, Lincoln is playing video games with Clyde, and someone called Rego, I don't know, I don't care either. Lincoln says, "Got to go, bye." Clyde says in a voice not played by his regular actor, "See you, boy," he says off camera quite quickly, giving Lori the biz tonight. Disgusted, I threw up in my mouth. Who said that line? Did Lincoln say that, or did Clyde say that? Who the fuck said giving Lori the biz tonight? Okay. It cuts to Lincoln running home. A weird ambience music plays, something like Radiohead backwards. What the fuck are Radiohead doing in this story? Also, it's one word. There's no space between radio and head. So, what the fuck is Radiohead doing in this story? Lincoln gets inside and sees a piece 2 of paper saying, "House, 3 beds, 1 bath." Lincoln in shock says, "Dad, we're moving?" Lynn Sr. says, "Yes, son, I'm sorry." Lincoln telling his sisters. 2 days later pops up on the screen. The house was chaos, all of them with mixed personalities. Their house got quiet as the mom Rita yelled, "Get your bags, load them into the U-Haul." It cuts to their house, which is empty, but has their furniture in it. It was only 2 beds. It was very crappy. The sofa had springs showing. The beds were from dumpsters, and there was no TV. It ended with screams coming from all of the kids, with some saying, "This sucks ass. This house is so R-slur." And horrible cry is, because that's not how you spell cries, and screams. After this, I contacted Nickelodeon, but to my surprise, I got an answer. The answer was, "Okay, first, we really don't have a script for the ending. You got the main sorry right you want." What the fuck does that mean? Is that English? What fucking... You got the main sorry right you want. What fucking alien language is that? That's most definitely not English. The only person I told the ending to was an internet Nick. I can't really disclose this. I'm sorry. What the fuck did I just read? The only thing I understood in this story was the fucking Radiohead reference. And it's like, this is clearly written from like a young kid. I'm surprised someone like young knows who fucking Radiohead is. They know, like, whoever wrote this knows Radiohead, okay? What the fuck? The only thing I understand is Radiohead. Why is Radiohead in this story? Alright then. Number 2. Loud House. The Masterpiece. You could tell this is going to be a good story because they don't even spell masterpiece correctly. It's one word. It's not two separate words. Loud House the Show. The Masterpiece Part 1. You know there was always a weird thing about Loud House, but mostly Luanne Loud. I thought she was different than the others. She always had annoying jokes and laughs, but the new episode changed my opinion on Luanne. She went crazy killing everyone. Lenny got choked with a charger and Luanne stabbed the charger piece in Lenny's eyes. What the fuck is going on, okay? Returning from the bathroom. Who's returning from the bathroom? Luanne? Lenny? Who's... But the next and last people in the house were the dad, mom, and Lincoln. She had a smirk on her face and laughed. She got downstairs and grabbed her own parents and stabbed the both of them. I was shocked, literally stabbed both of her own parents. Then Lincoln ran up the stairs, seeing the masterpiece. Next, she said, "You're next." Okay, again, at least they used the correct "you're." And stabs Lincoln twice. Her laugh flees the static in the TV, and she tries to tell Lincoln, "Join me." He yells, "No, you killed all of our family, you bastard." I was shocked he said that. Then again, I would have did the same thing for the stuff she did. His last breath was, "Hope you're happy." Okay, and you used the wrong "your." So you know what? You got your points removed. Your credit has been removed. Luanne stabs him in the stomach over and over and over, literally almost throwing up when this happens. She put her video camera on and said, "Hi viewers, today I am going to cut my brother's head off." Then she sliced it. After that, she rips Lincoln's eye sockets and his skin. After that, she puts Lincoln's head on the masterpiece. What the fuck is the masterpiece? I don't know. She said, "Well, thanks for watching me slice my brother's head off. Bye-bye. Her insanity is lost." Maybe she got jealous, or maybe even worse. But, okay, I need to, let me try this again. But there is one more Loud, Luna Loud. But before that came to mind, all we saw was Luna, Lily, and Lisa Loud trying to open the door. Somehow, Lily hid under her crib and Lisa survived the chemical explosion. But the most healthy was Luna. Could Luna and her two little sisters get the hell out of there? The end. I'm at a fucking loss for words. This is basically just a shittier version of number 9, basically. Yeah, that's what this is. This is just a shittier version of number 9, as if number 9 wasn't already shitty enough. Yeah, this was fucking garbage. Oh my god. But this was only number 2. All I could say is, prepare for the worst. Prepare for the worst. Number 1. Lola Rampage. Oh my god, I am not looking forward to this. Giant wall of text. No punctuation to be seen. May God have mercy on my soul. I was walking around. I noticed a chest beneath a tree. I took it home and opened it. It was a note with a La House VHS that said Lola's Rampage. The note said, "Do not watch. The episode is graphic." I thought it was a prank, so I popped it into my VHS player. It had the intro, but it was only Lola Loud, the bratty princess, looking evilly into the camera. The title card had red dripping with Lola looking what she looked like in One Flew Over the La House, but more evil. The episode started with the family was walking home and noticed Lola eating something in the corner. Lana asks, "Are you okay?" Lola then turns around to show her eating Lily. They run and scatter. Lola then begins to hunt. Is the basement. Lincoln is cornered by Lola and begs her to stop, but she did not. She grabbed him and began to slowly tear his head off. Lincoln slowly screams as he felt muscle tearing. Eventually, it does as blood spewed down his clothes and onto the floor. Next, Lucy and Lori are in the fireplace, and Lucy says she's got chestnuts for roasting. They then feel a liquid and learn it is gasoline. Lola is on the roof, then says something for the first time. I got you for roasting. She then drops a lighter on them and they burn to death. Luanne is hiding in the attic fearfully when Lola comes in holding a axe. Luanne begins to slowly sneak away only to sneeze, and Lola notices her and Luanne screams. It cuts to the attic door. A axe goes through it with blood on it and it dripping down to the floor. Luna is then seen beginning to climb down the laundry shaft, only for Lola to grab her hand and say, have a nice fall. She then lets go and Luna falls to death. Lynn Jr., Rita, Lynn Jr., Lenny, Lana, Lisa gather up in Lori's room. Lola the burst in and Lynn says to go and she will hold her off. They do. Lynn is now fighting her and gets the upper hand by punching, kicking, and twirling and throwing Lola, but she grabs Lynn from behind and holds her down by her neck with a neck lock and squeezed her neck until we hear a cringy crack depicting Lola finally killed Lynn Jr. by breaking her neck. She then goes into Mom's bedroom where Rita set up monitors. Lana and the others watch her and telling her to watch out. Lola then grabs Rita from behind and brings a axe down over and over until blood covered the entire screen. That Lola then grabs Lynn Sr., Lisa, and Lenny and rips out their hearts and then looks at her twins and says, what have I done? And kills herself with a pistol. And Lana does the same. If I'd then shown R.I.P. Louds the end as it faded to black. I was really shocked. I should have listened the note. I never watched Loud House ever again. P.S. Deaths in order. Lily, eaten by Lola off screen. Lincoln, head ripped of by Lola. Lucy and Lori, burned to death in fireplace. Luanne, hit in the head with the axe. Luna falls to her death. Lynn Jr., neck braked by Lola. Rita, killed off screen by Lola with axe. Lynn Sr., Lisa and Lenny, hearts ripped out. Lola shoots self in head. Lana shoots self in head. And then you all wonder why I fucking hate this cartoon. Is it really any surprise?